All right, you guys, I'm literally about to do the insane. I'm going to create an Omnisphere 3 mini course for you. So who is this for? It's for people who want to step into sound design and they want to take their sounds to the next level. What this is not is me going through a bunch of presets saying these are the best presets. That's not what this is going to be. So let's hop straight into it. We have no time to waste. So you guys voted that you do want an Omnisphere 3 mini course, and here it is for you. So what's new on Omnisphere is this left side functionality. Basically now it's structured in more of categories. So if we go to directory, we could choose between different libraries. So for example, if you want to pull up some strings, you might go to your instruments collection here, and then under category, you'll go to your strings. So here you can get straight to what you're looking for. Okay, and now okay, so they've organized it in a different way, and it definitely helps. Another thing you guys could do is if you find a nice patch, but you just want some kind of variation to it, you can click on the match tool to find new presets, and it will find presets that have similar characteristics to that first preset. So if I click randomly over here, okay, these feel the same, but it's a different tone. And this allows you to create more expansive arrangements when you have subtly different sounds. If you keep using the same sound over and over and over again, it tends to blend in and blur together. So these patches, they find similarities between the patches. So this is a useful technique. And I'm only going to show you guys stuff that I actually use. I'm sure, as you guys have seen, or if you didn't see, the manual is 1,200 pages long. I don't think anybody is ever reading that in its entirety. First person to do it will definitely get crazy amount of likes on Instagram. But I'm going to show you the way I use it. Okay. So that's how you find presets. And another tool here is called the mutate tool. So you can mutate ideas that you have, and it will basically rearrange the idea. So if you go to the main tab and go to layers, here's where you can see the changes. So let's mutate, this preset. That is actually insane. So we're going to go to these little hamburger icon. Let's go to save patch as, and let's find our user folder. So we need to, okay, so it puts it in a folder for us actually under mutations. So here's the directory. If you guys want to copy this, just pause the screen and just screenshot this. This is where the patches are. Let's go to save, and let's call this something else. Let's call it like B author. Oh, no wonder it's insane. Eric Persing made this patch. Okay, that makes sense. Hit save. That's just a crazy patch. So you can keep hitting mutate. Another thing you could do is click this drop down and go to extreme and then click mutate again. So it will be a little more fancy in the way that it changes the sound. It still has that like glittery vibe to it. Not I like this. Let's save that. So you can basically discover new things you just didn't even know that you wanted using that mutate tool. That's how I would use it. Okay. So let's do it one more time and see what it pulls up. That's actually really dope. How does it know? This is almost like if you guys ever use like AI to know like how AI knows what you're about to say. This is the same exact thing. It's like it figures out what you would like to hear. That's cool. I don't know how else to describe it. Okay. So on the left side, we have those tools. You could also search using your typing keyboard to find sounds in the library. Pretty basic, pretty straightforward. Now we're going to step into sound designer mode. Okay. So put on your sound designer hats. Let's go to the hamburger icon. Let's go to initialize patch. So here's where we start off with a sawtooth. This is where most sound designers have a lot of fun here. So let's reset this. So Omnisphere is layered in different layers. Okay, so you have 4 layers, A, B, C, D, per each multi. Okay, or whatever these are called. I don't know what these are technically called. These up here, the combinations, that's the word. So for each combination, you have 8 combinations and you have 4 sound making things per combination. So in total, you could have technically in theory, 32 things making sounds. That's a lot of things. So we're going to keep it pretty simple here and stay to combination number 1. And we're going to use layer A. So this is where we begin to grab sounds. If you click this little icon here, it switches between the sample mode and the synthesizer mode. So synthesizers are digital or analog samples that are in waveform. So you're gonna get more bitey tones, sine waves, square waves, that type of stuff. If you're looking for a real instrument to pivot off of, you can switch this to the sample oscillator. And this has captured more long tail parts of an instrument. So if we click here, it will open up the directory. So if you don't want to build from scratch, this is a great place to search. A lot of people don't even know you can go this deep with sound design. Let's go to Bell family of stuff. Let's go to bells and let's go to celestial type bells and let's see what they have. Also too, it searches in this specific directory. So that's where it's kind of pulling these sounds from. You can switch the directory. Let's go bells and let's try a different area. Let's just do these. Let's do music box. Okay, it's a cool sound. Now, if you want to go basic, you just want to add a filter and some effects. Let's just add a filter here under oscillator A. Let's turn the filter on. And we could switch the type of filter here. There's a ton of filters that go really deep with it. The envelope basically tells the filter how far open it wants to be, and it follows the filter envelope. I know we're kind of jumping ahead. I can't cover everything about sound design in this video, but I'm just showing you guys how to make sound cool, okay? But I can't cover everything about everything. It just would take too long. So the filter, basically the envelope is telling the filter to open up and then close over this amount of time. This is how we make pluck sounds. Like that. Okay, now let's add some effects. So let's say we want some delay. Let's go to the effects. Now we can put effects on each individual layer, or we could put them on everything, which is the common tab. So let's go to layer A. Let's go to effects. And let's go to effect. I don't know why this is highlighted. I'm not sure why these are all highlighted. I have no idea. I don't care to know really. Let's click here where it says effect and let's add delay. Let's go to Swiss. Oh, let's go to magnetic echo. It sounds cool. Let's pull back the mix level. So this adds drive and it does delay. Let's turn on sync mode. Let's do one more thing. Let's go back to the front panel and give our decay a little bit more time. So that's a cool delay. Now let's add some reverb. Let's click the drop down. Let's go to reverb and let's do velvet verb. This sounds cool. Now we're going to pull back the mix level to blend the reverb in. So it's a cool sound, but it's a little atonal, meaning it's a little more like an impact sound and less of a tonal sound. So let's click here and let's go through different. So now that we have the sound kind of structure built, we can go back in and pick individual sounds. And I might even switch the category here to like a keyboard of some sort. Let's hit shuffle because there's so many. Let's go back to our effects tab. Let's go back to the reverb. Let's give this a long decay curvature. Pull back the mix level. And let's say we want to do stuff to this keyboard sound. Let's make it more plucky. Let's turn down what's called the sustain under the amp envelope so that it doesn't forever hold. It just goes doom, 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 like that. So resonance adds a lasery sound, like you can't really hear it on this sound because it's not evident. Let's pull back the reverb. I went crazy with the decay curvature there. All right, so now let's layer something in. Let's layer in a synth sound here. Let's go to oscillator B And let's turn this on by clicking this button down here. One thing we can do from part 1 here is we can right click where it says filter. We can copy this filter and then right click and paste the filter. I think it does it by default because it sounded the same. And now we can adjust this filter over this sound, this synth sound. Now let's say we want to thicken up this sound here. Let's go to where it says unison and let's turn this on. Let's add some depth here and let's add a little detune. We can also mess with some of the scatter and drift features to change some of the voicing stacks. Spread is basically how wide you want these panned. I guess that's a really common effect is unison. I think we can only do one at a time here. I'm not sure we could do... Oh, now we can. Okay, this is new. We could do harmonia and unison. I don't think that was possible before. So here you can add individual semitone values. Let's say you wanted to add an octave up and an octave down just to like make your sound more unique. You could do that, or a perfect fifth. So basically just it adds more voices, but they're tuned differently. So that's a way you can add in a perfect fifth, for example. And, you know, get really unique with it. For this video, we're not going to cover that. I'm just showing you guys stuff I would actually do. Now let's go to this oscillator B in this case and give it a longer decay curvature for the filter. So it goes like that. Because right now it fades too quickly. So the filter decay curvature tells this cutoff knob how long it goes from this max position to this minimum position. Let me show you guys a new, or one of the newer, I should say, modulation sources. I was just live streaming for 3 hours, so bear with my voice, guys. So if we click here on the drop down, we can go to, I think it's called alternative or alternate. Where is it at here? Yeah, I think it's alternate. And then we can go to target, oscillator. Then we went, or maybe it's amplitude, pan. Okay, so basically every other note, I should pan it to the left or right if I did this right. I'm not hearing this. Oh, wait, why am I on the right tab? Sometimes I'm on the wrong tab and I just forget. So I'm seeing it pan, but it's not actually doing it. So this could be just the fact that we have unison on, or it's just not doing it at all. So this is either glitch, which I don't think it is. It's a little weird. So in theory, this sound should be panning left and right. Not sure why it's not doing that. So these work. Maybe I didn't. I think this is just something's happening here. Let me pause the video, see if I can figure it out. All right, guys. So it works on this sound, but not the other sound, and I just don't know why. Now it wants to work. Okay, I don't know what happened. Nothing changed except for I added the effect to the first sound. So it was a glitch, I guess. Not a big deal. See, now it turned off. Wonder why it does that. It's weird. So now we're not getting sound from the first. Oh yeah, we are. So I don't know how to explain it. I'm not sure why. But let's go in here. Let's see why that is. I have no idea. So I don't even know what to tell you guys. But now we have it working, okay? So every time we hit a key, it pans to the opposite side. This is a really unique way to get your sounds to sound more full. All right, so try that out. It's just a little technique. Now this is doing this without any modulation. I have no idea why this is like chirping out like this, y'all. Super weird. I think we found a glitch. I think we have broken the Omnisphere 3. Either that or I just have no idea what I'm causing. All right, now let's say we want to filter. Turn that back on. And we can also level these sound making things with these faders right here. We could turn them up or down. So let's say I want my keys higher and just use this background filter as this movement. I'm forever going to be like trying to figure out why that that error happened. I have no idea. All right, now let's add our effects back in. So again, I'm not sure why these are all highlighted. I assume they're all being affected by the same chain. Not sure why we can't do it individually. I have no idea. No clue. Now let's say we wanted to create a sequence. We can go to the ARP tab here and we can turn on the arpeggiator. And we could do cool things. Most people don't know you can actually add in different values here. So we can not only just play straight through, we can click here and transpose the notes. So basically we're creating a sequence. And you can also make these notes slide notes. So it does a portamento bend. And you can left click this little bar for the speed of the portamento. So this is really cool. If you go to slide down -12, it's basically like a halftime effect. So a cool thing we do is usually go 3 octaves of range. Let's take off the alternative panning because I don't know. Let's go back to our effects chain. Let's add like a compressor here. Let's do dynamics and let's do an 1176 type compressor. Let's turn down the makeup gain and turn up the input. Let's do a fast attack. So I think it, fast means to the right in this case. Slow is to the left. Also, let's take off sync mode. Never mind, that does mess up this sound. Also too, some effects have like a back panel to it. So if you click where it says more, here we have a wow effect, which is a pitch wobble. And then the spread is how it pans the delay. So what I like to do is play an arpeggio and then start shaping the actual sound. That alternative thing is going to bother me so much. I have no idea why it just didn't work. Now also too, if you modulate something, you can go to the front here. You could right click on stuff and you can modulate by something. So it makes modulation a little bit easier. I like to modulate with the alternative, but there's other things we could do. Like for example, for the pitch of the Moog here, we can right click where it says fine tune and then modulate it by random. And what it will do is like pitch bend randomly. And then we can go to the plus icon here and pull the amount in so it doesn't pitch bend so far. Here, I'll exaggerate so you guys know what I mean. Let's turn off oscillator A for a second. So it's just going to sound super out of key sometime. I'm playing the same key, same note. And it sounds like it's playing multiple notes. So to prevent that, we can pull in the range of the modulation. So let's pull in the source. Actually, no, the source is not going to do nothing. We got to pull in the, let's click this plus icon. We need to pull in the amount so that it doesn't pitch bend too far away from. Let's turn the arpeggio back. All right, now we can sound design as we're listening to the actual sound. So because we have the arpeggio, this saw sounds better because it sounds more distinct. What else is there to do? We can also transpose this. So let's say we want to pull this one down an octave. We can do -12 under the transpose. All right, so that, we just built our basic sound. Now to save this preset, we can click in the utility menu and then go to save patch as. And here in the user folder, we can create subfolders. This is where you would create a subfolder for your pack. If you're making a pack, for example, let's just call this YouTube. Name your preset. So let's just call it, what would we call that? TB303 style sequence base ARP thing. I don't know. Just name it. Okay, save. And here we can add details as we save. All right, so under attributes, I like to put author, and then I'll click here and we'll add an assignment and we'll type in our name. BusyWorks Beats, hit enter, and now your name will be listed here. Let's go to reference 80s. I don't know, there's no real reference here. We're gonna put our website. Let's go to busyworksbeats.com. And the notes, basically, if you have mod will stuff, usually you want, there's a dude named Chris Hines. My name's Carlin Hines. I wonder if we're related. It's like that. Under notes, I usually say like use mod will for whatever. But in this case, we don't have anything. So I'll usually just put my website or give credit to some kind of inspiration here. Not mandatory to add anything here. My backspace doesn't work, so we just got to save that. All right, now let's start anew. Let's click here. Let's go to initialize patch. Now I wonder what happens if we sound design and then let's do this. Let's click on the directory dropdown. To find user packs, you want to go to user directories and let's go to user in this case. Here's where our patches are. So I'll show you guys a couple sounds I built in Omnisphere, which you can get these Omnisphere sounds for free if you guys go to busyworksbeats.com/Omnisphere. We're going to do an Omnisphere 3 giveaway. We're going to announce the winner November 15th of 2025. If you're watching this in the future, that's the year. And it's completely free to hop in. And as a thank you gift, I'm giving you guys an Omnisphere bank that's already made for you. It has 50 plus sounds in it. It's built around like Skeller's influence around funk wave and wave sound. And so you can load these up in Omnisphere 2 or Omnisphere 3. So I built respaces, res bases for you. A lot of reverb heavy stuff in here. So really, ambient stuff here. So this is where you can access, basically my point here is, here's where you can access all your presets. All right, so you can create a lot of cool sounds in Omnisphere. I have so many sounds to get through. So let's click here, let's initialize patch. And here's what I was gonna do. Let's go to our bass sequence that we just created. And let's see if we go to the match mode, what it does if we go to match current selection. I guess it pulls from existing presets in Omnisphere. And this sounds nothing like. I guess it's looking at the source sample. These don't sound exactly like it. So I guess I'm looking at the source samples because these don't tonally sound the same. So I think that's what's happening there. I was just curious to see if we did a match on our own sound design sound. What does it pull from? Because it's not pre-trained or anything. I was just curious to see. Okay, let's initialize the patch and let's start over. Now let's start layering sounds. And as you guys can see, the workflow is really, really similar between Omnisphere 2 and Omnisphere 3. We just have more sounds to choose from. So let's start, dabbling into some of the samples. Let's go to sample mode and let's try some real instruments here. Let's go to string family and let's try some bowed strings. All right, so I like this one. The only thing I want to add here is a release tail, so it doesn't just go and then stop. Now I want some kind of crystally pad behind it, so let's add a sawtooth under oscillator B. This is a very bright tone, so we need to add a filter here. Now we can make it brassy by adding an attack to it. And then we can dull the sound by pulling back the envelope here so it doesn't open the filter all the way. Let's add a little resonance so it's a little more tonally centered there. Let's pull back the envelope even more. So now it's going like wow, wow, instead of wow, wow. That's the difference between the envelope up and down. Okay, now let's build the sound up by adding unison here so that we can thicken the song sound out. Now let's turn oscillator A back on. Let's turn layer B down. We just want to layer in the saw, not like make it a dominant sound. All right, now if we go to the main tab, here is where we can adjust the volume. Let's add another. And here you can also add some filters to the entire sound if you want. Let's go to oscillator C. Now let's add an organic sample here. Let's go to samples. Let's do some kind of, where are we at here? Let's do winds and let's try flutes. Let's turn off the filter for the flute. It's really hard to hear the individual sounds. So. Now for the flute, let's say we want the flute to have that alternative pan. So let's go here to the pan, right click, and let's modulate this by, let's do alternate. So if we turn off B and, it's hard to hear. I don't know why it doesn't apply to, I really think we found a glitch. So let's switch the modulation to LFO. Now we want this as a bipolar direction, so we might have to change what's called the source. There we go. Does modulation not work? I think we found, I think we officially broke Omnisphere 3. Modulation doesn't work on this pan knob for some reason. I don't know why maybe I'm doing something incorrect, but it's not doing anything. Let's try it on layer A, see if layer A dictates layer B and C. Let's try this, let's right click. See, it works here, but it doesn't work on layer C. So I'm not sure why. Personally, it could be a glitch, but it's not easy to understand why it would be off. So I don't know. So now I think we have a decent sound. Now we're gonna add some effects. Let's go to the effects tab. And here's where we can kind of sauce up our sound. Let's add some effects here. Let's go to creative effects and let's do flip backwards. I think this is a reverser. Let's pull the mix level back. So we're blending it in. So we're doing forward backward sounds here, looping. Let's do a little overlap and let's synchronize it with the BPM of our project by turning on song position there. So the overlap, I believe, creates a crossfade. Let's slow this down to like half. Let's also cut out the lows because it gets a little muddy. It's kind of hard to hear this one, except for when I let go. Here goes like, so that's what we're adding. Let's see if we can add some kind of granular delay. Let's try delay. Let's do a refraction delay. I believe this is a granular effect. Okay, I'm incorrect about that. I thought it was a granular delay, but I don't know what this does. Let's pull back the stretch. Okay, so it seems very like a resonant filter. That could just be the feedback, actually, what I'm saying. Okay, that effect is not what I expected it to be. I thought that was going to be like a granular delay. That was my assumption. Let's see what else we have in here. Oh, shimmer. Maybe I was thinking about this one. So shimmer is definitely a granular effect. Let's pull back the amount. As you guys can see, it's a very, very heavy sound. And now we need to mess with the pitch here. Let's pull this up 12 semitones. So now the glittery sound. Now the shimmer, let's pull this back because I believe this is the tail of the granular effect. And we can also make this a near reverb, meaning like a early reflection reverb, or at least a shorter decay curvature. So this is a pretty heavy tone. Let's cut out the lows, pull back the drive knob. Wow, this one effect is adding so much sound here, so it's hard to manage all this. Just doing this by ear. So pushing it to the far definitely helps. And then we can add an EQ at the end of everything and just kind of shape it by cutting the lows. We can also go to the common area. This is going to affect all of the layers. And I'm not sure why we can't individually pick layer B or whatever. I'm sure there's something we can do about that. Anyway, on the commonalities, let's add our tape effect. Let's turn off saturation. Let's mess with the wow and flutter. So this should affect every sound here, every part of the layer. It's kind of hard to hear though. Let me make sure I'm actually doing something. Let's add an effect that's very obvious, like a distortion unit. Okay, so it definitely is doing something to all the sound. It's just subtle. Let's widen this out with some chorus. So some chaos. I gotta figure out what that bitey sound is. The solar shimmer is very heavy of an effect. It's a good effect, this is very heavy. So if you guys are gonna use this, I'd recommend keeping it like really, really low mix level because it gets very heavy. And now we have like a video game sound just like that. Let me save this. You guys still hear that reverb going? Super long tail reverb there. So let's call this like video game hybrid. And again, we're going to go to attributes, author. I'm just going to click BusyWorks Beats, web link, busyworksbeats.com, like that. Save that thing. Boom. Okay, so now we have 2 patches. So if we go back to our directory and we go to user directories, go to user, you should see 2 patches if you guys followed the steps. This patch here. Our quirky one, and then here's our video game one. So when I let go, you hear the reverse and then that long shimmer reverb. All right, let's create one more. Let's see how long this video is. I want to keep this under, I was going to say 20 minutes. We are way over 20 minutes. Let's do, hopefully you guys could even see the screen. My head was blocking a lot of stuff. Okay, let's go to the top here. Let's go to initialize layer. Or initialize the patch. Make sure you guys save that first. Let's go to this layer here. We have a lot to get through. I'm realizing here. So what else can we do? We can do things like create leads, for example. If we go to the main tab, we could turn on what's called solo and glide. And this gives us like this. We turn this up. It's like a whiny sound. So let's make that sound. Okay. So that's really just a sawtooth going up and down in pitch very slowly. Let's add the effect, add a reverb, and then we're done. Just like that, we have now like an NBA type. Simple as that. We'll save that as just a fun little sound effect. So that's how fast we can create a sound effect. All right, so let's do this. This one, I'm not even going to fill out all the details. We can come back to the details later. When we save, let's say you want to add some details to your patch, you can go to the hamburger and save patch as, and then you could add more information to that specific thing. All right, so here you can even see more information about the patch. Okay, let's go back though. Let's take off some of the glide. It's a little aggressive. Let's also take off this reverb. And you can also bypass now by clicking on this little light. It will just turn off the effects. Very useful. Okay, so now we have a sound. We're going to click here and there's even more sounds. That's why I said Omnisphere is just rich with sound sources. We're going to go here to the layer A, go to classic waveforms, go to sawtooth, and then we have sawtooth samples from all types of retro synths. So you don't really need a retro synth because they've sampled pretty much the essence of that specific sound. And if we go to, let me see here, let's go to the TI virus. So actually one of my favorite saws is very bitey, is this one, Andromeda. It's a very gritty bite to it. That like rattle at the high end. Okay, now let's add our effects back. There's really not much to do with a lead outside of like effects. If anything, you can click on your filter and let's say you want the filter to be change depending on how hard you hit the note. So we can right click the cutoff and we can modulate by velocity, meaning how hard we hit the note. So if I hit the note harder, the filter opens up louder, more. And if I hit it softly, it keeps it closed so it has less harmonics. And we can also modulate this with what's called a mod wheel. This is a wheel on your actual MIDI controller. Let's go to modulate by mod wheel. So it's modulated by 2 things, a mod wheel and how hard we hit it. So I could hit it one way, so I'm playing a note. Let's play a really soft note. Let's say it's too soft, I can use my mod wheel to now turn the filter up. So that's a great little thing. Another thing people usually assign to their mod wheel is an LFO control over their fine tune pitch. So let's right click here. We're going to modulate the pitch with an LFO. And here it goes like that. We are going to pull back the depth so it has no range. And then we can right click the depth and modulate this with the wheel. So now all we need to do is change the speed here, the rate. And I'll usually keep this around 3 hertz or 6 hertz. So we're controlling multiple things with that mod wheel. So going like that, that's a vibrato. So that is how we basically handle leads. Let's go to the effects channel here. Let's turn these on. And let's add dynamics. They now have a multi-band compressor. So let's add this first before the reverb. And we can left click this little hamburger icon to slide these units around. I'm eyeballing the multi-band compressor. We have a crossover point, which is the lows and low mids. And if you go to more, it will show other bands here. So let's just go to, basically we're not going to mess with the crossover points. We just want to change either the ratio or the input level per that specific band. It's kind of hard to hear because this is in a very specific range. So what I'd do if I were you guys, I would turn the level down just so I could hear what it's affecting. Hear that bite? That's the Andromeda bite. The midsection is kind of where the sound lives. If you hit Control, left click, it will reset the knobs for you. So I guess sustain is the amount of compression. So, you know, depending on the sound, I would use that. This sound didn't really need much of that. And we can add a delay here. Let's try different new delays like backward echo. This is a new one. Let's pull back the mix level. This is a reverse delay. We could do bounce, meaning left, right panning. And we want to turn this down because it gets a little... Then we could mess with the time, so it's a little bit faster. Okay, so again, in real life, I wouldn't use this many effects. I'm just trying to show you guys how to add these together. And we could do modulation here. Let's do some analog chorus. Just to widen out the sound a bit. Now for this one, the backward echo is a little distracting. I do like what it's doing, but it's a little distracting if you're doing very fast stuff. All right, so just mess with delays and reverbs, mostly for leads and also filters. Let's just save this as patch as. Let's go to lead and let's put lead delay reverb. I don't know, I'm getting tired, you guys, so we're just gonna save it as something. Save. What else is there to show you guys? I mean, that's pretty much Omnisphere. in a nutshell. Now, what I love though is that they've categorized sounds. This is a huge help because before trying to find sounds, it was fun, but it was not as organized in terms of the purpose of a sound. It was categorized by the type of sound, but not the purpose of the sound. So now they give you guys kind of purposes for each set of sounds. These are called directories. You can consider them libraries pretty much. Okay, so I mean, it's the same process that we did with the sound design stuff. It's just you're using now sounds from their presets and not just stuff that you build. So Omnisphere 3 can get now did we covered the arpeggio to a degree. We don't want to cover everything in this video because again, when you're using Omnisphere, you're not even remotely thinking about half the stuff in here. You're just looking for good sounds. And that's what Omnisphere 3 is about, just good sounds. So one last thing, I guess, is if you click here, you can go to view all, and we can go to all excuse me, we can go to all Omnisphere sounds or all our other plugins like Keyscape, Trillion, Sonic extensions that you guys may have. Or, you know, let's go to view all. And I feel like there's more presets than this. But if you click shuffle, now we're just pulling from everything. And then we can categorize by type. So you guys can go to Omnisphere 3, pad sounds, etc., etc. So we can get more granular. But I'm not going to make this video any longer. This is a dope sound right here. So to mark it as a favorite, click sort, go to favorites. Go to ratings, and then mark it as 5-star. So now when you go to the front panel, you could actually sort things by ratings. And at the top, it will show you guys all your 5-star sounds here. So it looks like it saved patches that I even have favorited from Omnisphere 2. So there's so much to get into with Omnisphere that this is literally gonna have to be like, you're gonna have to watch over time. Like I said, the manual is 1,200 pages. There's no way any human can ever just sit here and make videos about 1,200 pages. Because we don't read the manual, I'm showing you guys use cases, and I'll wrap it here because that's how I would use Omnisphere 3 as a sound designer and as a user of the actual sounds. So, all right, guys, subscribe if you're new. Go to busyworksbeats.com/Omnisphere to enter our Omnisphere giveaway. We're going to be giving away Omnisphere November 15th, 2025. So make sure you join in live when we pick the winner live, and put your good email in so that it doesn't go to the spam folder. All right, guys, subscribe if you're new. Peace.